there is some concept called multiple rule groups here. Okay, boss. See, I have a data source called ZM rules here, and I've got 4 fields in this: employee, date, amount, and then what? Manager, boss. Yeah, I've got employee, date, amount, and manager, or I can show you data here. So I've got employee, date of transaction, and then some amount, then I've got manager, boss. And these 2 employees belong to M1 manager, and these 2 employees belong to M2 manager. But for me, manager is also an employee for me. So by using this data, I would like to leverage and analyze the performance of employees. Okay, but for me, manager is also an employee for me. I would like to analyze the performance of them also. So, but manager as it is does not generate any revenues for us, because he just monitors all the employees who are under him. Yeah. So my logic is, for employee revenue, for E100 what is the revenue was 1000, for E200 what is it? 2000. But for managers, my logic is 10% of the revenue generated by employees of him would be employee revenue for manager. 10% of the revenues generated by the employees is what I need to calculate it for manager. And manager is also considered to be an employee for me. Okay, boss? Arthamaindana? So I got manager and employee in 2 different columns here. But if I look at my cube, I have this structure here. My cube will have only employee, yeah, then say amount with currency, and then some date. My cube has got only employee, because in the data source I've got employee as a different column, manager as a different column. Content of employee should go to what? Employee here, and content of manager also should get into employee column itself. And even while feeding amount, I must differentiate. So when I'm feeding employee, I should just send normal amount. When I'm feeding manager, my amount should be what? 10% of that value. Yeah. So I'll just create transformations now. My source is what? Data source of test file. So now what's happening here? Employee is getting mapped to EMP, date to cal day, amount to amount. But am I mapping to manager to this? No, right? So, but actually what is my requirement? This is one set of mapping, employee to employee number, amount, cal day to cal day is fine. I want to have another set of mapping where manager should be mapped to what? Employee, and I should take 10% of the amount. Yes or no? So like this we can have multiple sets of mapping within a single transformation. Now if you see there is some like rule group, what is it selected here? Now whatever you see, the mapping is a standard group, and I would like to create one more group mapping. Say what? New rule group. I'll say something manager group something. So this is my what group is this? Manager group. What it says? Manager group. If I go to standard, mapping is done. If I go to what my group, there's no mapping done. Okay. Now what I want is for employee, I must fill it with what? What is source field I should use? Manager. And direct assignment. Okay. Now for date again, what? Rule details. It should take date. Direct assignment is fine. Then for amount, I'll take source, amount and currency. Currency is direct mapping, but for amount I must write what? Routine, where it takes only what? 20% of it. Done. So now if I go to my standard group, employees fed to employee, amount to amount. If I go to next group, I've got manager to employee and 20% of the amount is mapped to amount. Yeah. Like this, in a single transformation, we can have multiple sets of rule mappings. So what's happening here? I've got multiple fields feeding a single target object. That's where I'm going with multiple rule groups. Data source లో ఉన్న మల్టిపుల్ ఫీల్డ్స్ సింగిల్ టార్గెట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ మ్యాపింగ్ చేయాల్సి వచ్చింది కాబట్టి మల్టిపుల్ రూల్ గ్రూప్స్కి వెళ్ళాం. సో వెన్ యూ బిల్డ్ మల్టిపుల్ రూల్ గ్రూప్స్ వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ అండ్ వెన్ యూ బేసిక్లీ లోడ్ యువర్ డేటా. ఓకే, ఆల్రెడీ నాకు డేటా సోర్స్లో డేటా ఉంది కదా, ఆల్రెడీ పోయినట్టు పెట్టుకుంటుంది. ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ డిలీటింగ్ ఇట్. So I've got this 4. I'm going to run the DT. Already I've got my data in the data source. I'm going to run the DTP now. DTP run the same with that. DTP will perform 4 different steps: extraction, error handling, filtering, then transformations, then updating. Now within transformations, if you have 2 rule groups, all the data set will be processed twice. Once with rule group 1, once with rule group 2. Even if 4 records load చేసాను, 4 records will be processed with rule group 1, and the same 4 records will be again processed with rule group 2. అంటే then queue will start getting 8 records. అంటే ఫస్ట్ 4 రికార్డ్స్ వచ్చి ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్లో రూల్ గ్రూప్ 1 ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అయిపోయి క్యూబ్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోతాయి. మళ్ళీ అదే 4 రికార్డ్స్ రూల్ గ్రూప్ 2తో ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అయ్యి మళ్ళీ క్యూబ్లోకి వెళ్తుంటారు. సో ద డేటా ఇస్ ప్రాసెస్డ్ ట్వైస్ విత్ రూల్ గ్రూప్ 1 అండ్ రూల్ గ్రూప్ 2 బస్. ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ ఒకసారి విత్ ఇన్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్స్ 2 times ఆ డేటా ప్రాసెస్ అవుతుంది అన్నమాట. ఇక్కడ చూస్తే ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ ఏమవుతుంది చూడు, 4 records have been mapped to what? 8 actually. Now let's see the content of the cube. All have come with same request only. ఇప్పుడు ఈ ఫస్ట్ 4 రికార్డ్స్ అంతా ఒక రూల్ గ్రూప్, అండ్ ద నెక్స్ట్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ 4 రికార్డ్స్ have come with rule group 2 bus. Like this, within a single transformation, you can do multiple sets of mappings by using concept of rule groups. And when do you need this multiple sets of mappings? When I have multiple fields feeding single target info bit, I will go with multiple sets of mappings. Got this part? Okay.